Hi, my name is Patricia Jones, and I'd like to share with you information about our Love for Life program. And because of our Love for Life program's success in the schools, we are in demand of great instructors. So thank you in advance for your involvement. Love for Life is an 18-week social-emotional learning program that's designed to empower compassionate, confident, and conscious leaders. If you decide to be a teacher, the key that you will bring to the classroom is helping develop habits and skills that helps these youth in regards to social emotional development, in regards to relationships with themselves, with other people, critical thinking, life planning, self-acceptance, open-mindedness, and success in their daily lives. What I'd like to do now is take you through the 10-step sequence of our Love for Life program. Our Love for Life program is broken down into 10 steps. So if you're teaching it and I'm teaching it, we're teaching it the same way no matter what school we're in. We'll always start off with a check-in, starting with at least 5 minutes of breathing. The way we do the breathing is we take our right hand, put it on our heart, our left hand, we put it on our abdomen. And the way we do this is we help ground them. We have them close their eyes and they feel completely silly. But you have to make sure they know that nobody's looking at them, they're facing the front of the room, and they can hear your voice. So talk them into being confident. Take a deep breath into your nose, and out through your nose, and expand their abdomen. This helps ground them. And what you're going to do is, you'll see it in the instruction video, is I go by and I touch everyone's shoulder lightly. Some kids like it, some kids love it. If children are uncomfortable, they'll let you know, or the teacher will let you know, and you don't have to touch that child. But this helps them feel connected not only to you, but to themselves. The reason why breathing is so important, as you know, it brings mindfulness. So we take about 5 minutes for them to check in with what we call BAM, that you'll learn later. But it's about having a healthy body, a positive attitude, which is the feelings in your heart, and a very focused and mindful mind. The next thing we do after breathing is we open our mood cards. Every student has a set on their desk, and what they'll do is they'll go through it, they'll decide how they feel, and the US instructor is going to ask at least 2 people, can you tell me how you feel? And how you're going to do this, I feel lonely because. And the student, I feel lonely because I don't feel I have any friends. The goal for you here is to guide them into sharing and to have the whole classroom become this community. If somebody says, I feel lonely, how many other students feel lonely? So then you're letting the children know that there's nothing wrong with them. Everyone has all these emotions, and it's okay to be this way. And you can either choose to keep this emotion, or you can breathe and you can change it. And you can ask the class, is there anybody here who has an idea of how this child can change feeling lonely? In the gratefulness section, you will have a whole set of these to hand out to each student. And you will ask them to open it up and write 2 or 3 things that they're most grateful for. And they can even jot down why. It doesn't need to be elaborate. It could be, I love the sunshine. You can guide them into saying, I am grateful for breakfast because now I'm not hungry. I am grateful for my mother because she drove me to school. I feel happy about the sunshine because it made me warm. It doesn't have to be elaborate, very easy, jot down 2 or 3 things. It is a fact that if people write things down 2 or 3 times a week, they are 15 to 25% happier. Who in the class would like to be happier? Let me show you how. This becomes a habit. We're going to do this every week. Have them take it home, but make sure it stays in their backpack when they come back to school. If they're frustrated with their mom or their brother, or they don't want to do their chores, they can take this out. It's theirs. They can write in what are they grateful for, and it can change their mindset back to being grateful versus being frustrated. Very powerful. The mantra of the Love for Life program is this. You will be given a board, and your board will have the mantra and the words of the day. And the mantra of the class is, I am courageous, confident, and in control. I know how to apply myself and accomplish my goal. Life is 10% what happens and 90% me. So I'll always take action to be the best I can be. And what's beautiful about this part is by week 4, they know the mantra by heart. And they're going to either take their books and they're going to read it. You're going to call 2 people up to the front of the class. And this is where they're going to learn being confident. Staying in front of a class. And what you're going to say every week, all the time, is what is the second scariest thing besides dying on the polls across the world? And it's public speaking. So it's okay to be up here. And you're going to whisper in the person's ear, are you uncomfortable? They usually say yes. Are you scared? Yes. Is it okay to be scared? Is it okay to be uncomfortable? Yes. Is it okay to be nervous? Is it okay to have fear? Absolutely. But it is not okay to panic, because once you panic, your brain is emotionally hijacked and you start shaking. So what you have them do, shoulders back, chin up, take a deep breath in, and then their toes are like talons, bird talons, and they tie them really, really tight, put them in the ground real tight so their knees don't shake. They take a deep breath. What's great about this part of confidence building is some people might want to laugh and just smirk, but they know they have to come up here at some point. So when you're up here and the person is uncomfortable, when they're done, regardless of how good they do, make sure you give everybody a round of applause. It makes everybody feel really good about themselves. When they're saying it, they have to look up at least twice and give eye contact. So I'm courageous, confident, and in control. I know how to apply myself and accomplish my goal. So they have to look up at least twice and address and be present, because they have something to say. And I have that as notes in there. You have something to say. Say it with integrity, say it with balance, say it with pride, and nice and loud. This is an awesome way to build public speaking skills and the ability for children next year to even become more confident. To be confident when they go into a party, when they go into a classroom, when they're on stage, or when they have to stand up and recite their homework. So the first thing that should be in your classroom when you get there is your board. Your board is kind of the focus of the whole class. And you can either set that up in advance with your teacher, have your teacher assign a student to do this for you. The beauty of it, it has today's word of the day and the word of the day from last week. So this is either put up with sticky tape or Velcro, very easy to take down. So the student or the teacher will know what next week's word of the day is. So they're going to take this, make this word of the day last week's word of the day, and then stick the new word of the day up. It's very, very easy to do. Remember, when you're going over last week's word of the day, you want to ask the class, did anybody learn anything last week that they carried through this week? And if somebody raises their hand, have them come to the front of the class, stand in your confident pose, and share with the class. In community talk, if the subject is leadership, in the opening questions, there may be a question that says, who feels that they're a leader and why? And you would call on a couple of people, have them stand up confidently and share, and that will bring participation into the class. Make sure at this point with the opening questions, it's all about facilitating probing questions, which is who, what, when, where, why, how. Not do you think, because do you is a yes or no answer. So you want to make sure it's how, who, what, why, because why. As an instructor, you might get stuck because there could be somebody who says, I don't know. What's going to make you really, really good and make the classroom become more powerful and connected is you can go over to that person, and I always kneel down next to them, and I just look at them and I say, well, if you don't know, who's going to know? I am nodding your head. You are smart, you're intelligent, you have these answers. Let's think about what they are. I'm going to give you a minute, and just sit there and don't say anything. And eventually, within a minute, they come with an answer. And you want to congratulate them. You want to say, thank you so much for sharing. That was wonderful. We appreciate it. And have the class also respond. What do you think about that answer? Do you agree? Does anybody else have anything to say? You want to make sure that you don't rush yourself in the community talk and the opening questions. You don't want to rush the students either. They might come up with something amazing that shifts the whole feeling inside the classroom. And what you'll find in this community talk, this is where bullying starts stopping. This is where friendships start happening and where all the children start to get to know each other. These students end up bonding very strongly with how you facilitate community talk and opening questions. You might want to talk about intimate experiences. Personal experiences are good, but you don't want to talk about intimate experiences in your relationships or things that you found out that might not be positive. We have boundaries in the classroom. We have to remember that we are not a psychiatrist, a psychologist. We are not a best friend. We are not a mother. What we are is we are a coach. We are an inspirer. We are a facilitator. We are a mentor. We are a teacher. We are bringing great habits and skills into the classroom. It's going to get tough in there because we are dealing with emotions, and that's what this emotional intelligence and social development is all about. Be very, very clear. Go with your gut. If you have any questions after the class, you can either call me or you can ask the teacher directly. And here's a note, you will find that sometimes your students really want to talk about themselves. Talk about the situation, the problem, the subject at hand. Please stay on subject. And if that happens, you can say, I really admire what you're talking about, but let's stay to the topic at hand. Does anybody else want to add to this topic? And slowly kind of move away from what they're talking about. The focus is not on one individual. It's trying to bring the attention of that topic or that subject to everyone in the classroom so they can all teach each other. So on the subject of confidence, when you get into that lesson, there's a couple main things that we want to teach here. Two things. One is eye contact. And throughout the class, all the time you want to say, how do I talk as your instructor? I talk with my what? My eyes. Eye contact is huge. It's huge for them because if you're looking at them, they're looking at you. So you want to make sure you pee in the classroom, you want to have eye contact. And if you're not talking and you're looking with your eyes, you're also communicating. The next thing we want to do is we want to talk about handshake. And we want to do a handshake with your web of your thumb to their web of their thumb. Connor, will you come up here? So you want to take this part of your hand and confidently put it into this part of the other person's hand. It's not out like this, shaking a hand. It's nice and tight and confident, and the grip wraps around the other person's hand. So it wraps around the other person's hand, not tightly, but strongly and firmly. Very nice to meet you. There's a look in the eyes, and a very nice to meet you. Very nice to meet you. What's your name?
Connor.
Nice to meet you, Connor. Nice strong handshake, eye contact, web to web. Remember the point where I was talking about breathing and touching on the shoulder? Well, you also maybe want to do that when they're answering questions and you're walking by a student. Or if somebody's talking or not paying attention or not writing in their journal. You're just going to walk by them while they're sitting down. You're going to touch their shoulder. I always do it this way, and nice and firm. You can also do it this way. You don't want to do a light touch. You don't want to do a tickly. You want to just do a hey, ground them, ground themselves so they feel connected. Especially when they're not paying attention, it's a great way to bring them back to you. So on the topic of bullying, it's a very, very dear and important topic for the principals, the teachers, and for the PTA. What will happen at the time it comes for you, you'll have a handout on bullying, is you want to actually say, has anybody in this class ever been bullied? Raise your hand. So this is the way you can always do questions. Has anybody ever been? Raise your hand. Bullied. They raise their hand. Has anybody in this class ever bullied somebody that they know of? Honestly, raise your hand. If there aren't a lot of people, you can actually ask, has anybody ever experienced bullying by somebody in this class? Don't say their name, by somebody in this class, raise their hand. Then what you want to do is ask them who that person is. So bring them up to the front of the class. And you say now that you need to share who is the person you're talking about in the class that has maybe bullied you. And then you bring that person up. And you ask the person, do you know that this person feels like you bullied them? And then you have that conversation. And then what you can do is you can actually say to the class, has anybody else been bullied by this person? Usually, a lot of people in the class raise their hand. And if they do, you look at this person and you say, dear son, dear young lady, did you know that most of this class feels that you have bullied them? How does that make you feel? Everything that you're doing when you're asking questions is, how does that make you feel? What do you want to do about it? Is there anything you'd like to say to the class or anything you'd like to say to this person? And we bring that on into the classroom. You will also ask, bullying or when somebody's hurt is, does anybody want to share how it makes you feel when you're bullied? What kind of responses and skills can we do back when you're bullying? So when you're an instructor, you're going to get an instructor guide that looks like this. And it's very simple, it's very short, and it will actually show you the steps of the program. So you don't have to remember the flow. The flow will be here for you to follow. You're going to have a community practice journal. You're going to get a set for your whole class. Everybody gets one. Main thing about this community practice journal is that they write down the topic that we're talking about, the questions that are in here. We want them participating. The reason why is because you want to make sure that it's their thoughts and their emotions that they're reflecting on, because they can always change. If they're taking it as a 6th grader, next year they're going to take it as a 7th grader. And what we found is they're like, wow, what I wrote last year, I'm not even worried about anymore. And guess what they realize? This too shall pass. It's a wonderful, wonderful way for them to experience who they are and how they're growing. All this will be in the handouts that you'll have. Call me, call the other program directors. Let's get this in the classroom, give them skills, and make this classroom a community together. I really want to take a moment to just thank you and tell you how grateful we are for your time and for your effort. The children that you reach, at-risk youth and non-at-risk youth, will be guided into a different way of thinking because of all of your energy, because of your mentoring, and because of your coaching. So thank you from me, from our board members, and from all the children that you're going to touch. God bless you. Namaste. If you know any other teachers that would like our programs, or schools that would like our programs, or even a bunch of your friends that might want to get together and have their children go through this program, we will gladly set that up for you. Please call this number. There's more information on our website to contact us. Thank you, and we look forward to making positive changes in our youth for tomorrow.